Popeyes, Chick-fil-A.
Popeyes, and that's what we're making today.
We're gonna start out here by portioning and cutting our chicken.
First, let's portion and cut our chicken. And before you ask, no, I've never bought chicken that looks normal.
We'll flatten out our chicken so it's a nice flat piece, and then cut that perfect sandwich size portion.
So we'll first cut our chicken into sandwich sizes and making sure the thickness is as even as possible. I'll split the chicken breast into two pieces. The thinner part I'll just trim and fry as it is, and the thicker part will be sliced through the middle to make sure it cooks faster and more evenly.
And doing my best to get a few perfect sandwich portion pieces of chicken. Again, that's another gorgeous piece.
Once we're done slicing, look at these gorgeous pieces.
And then we'll go in with equal parts buttermilk and pickle juice, which is my special trick for brining chicken.
We'll go with buttermilk. And don't worry, I googled, clumps are normal. And then some pickle juice so the acid and the salt can denature the protein.
At this point, we're gonna let our chicken rest and brine for at least an hour or so, or until we need it.
We'll give our chicken a quick toss and let it brine till we need it. I just want to put it away because it smells weird.
Now to make our bread, we're gonna start by making something called a tang zong. We're gonna go in with a quarter cup of whole milk and 2 tablespoons of water.
So to get started with our tanzhong paste, we'll go with 2 tablespoons of water and quarter cup of milk.
We're gonna whisk as we slowly sprinkle in 2 tablespoons of bread flour.
I'm too lazy to whisk it, so I'm just gonna add in the flour and then swirl it a little bit and put it on the heat.
Later.
Don't do what I just did because they got all clumpy like that. To start over, I'm gonna use a silicone pastry brush. It catches all the corners and breaks up the flour clumps as well. But most importantly, this is too long to be mine. It must be my roommate's. Alright, third time is the charm. Once it's thickened, we can set it aside and cool.
Now to make that bread, we're gonna start with 3/4 cup of lukewarm whole milk.
Of course, Nick has the best looking KitchenAid. We'll heat some milk till 90 degrees and measure out 3/4 of a cup.
Then into that milk, we're gonna put 2.5 tablespoons of sugar.
And then we'll mixing 2.5 tablespoons of sugar. Stir it around with my Ligma fork.
I like to think of the sugar as the food for the yeast. It's gonna let that yeast wake up a little bit.
So I guess yeast is just like me. It can be instantly woken up with white powder.
Jeez, okay. We're gonna add in a tablespoon of active dry yeast, whisking as we pour so that it disperses evenly. You don't want to ever pour in yeast without mixing, because it clumps up really easily and then becomes a huge pain in the rear.
But I enjoy pain in the rear. But anyways, it's fine if you pour it in all at once. You just gotta whisk it fast enough. It only clumps up if you let it sit there.
Now, we're gonna let this sit for about 5 minutes.
While we're waiting, I found out that just like me, Nick is a Casey Neistat fan because I spotted his boosted board in the back.
Now, once our yeast has grown a little bit, we're gonna add in 3.5 cups of bread flour.
3.5 cup of bread flour.
And then we'll let this begin to whisk.
And then we'll let my hand begin to mix.
Now, once it slowly starts getting incorporated, we're gonna add in 1 full egg plus 1 yolk.
To ensure the ease of kneading, I'm gonna beat the eggs before I add it to the mixture. And then back to mixing.
We have our sticky tang zong that we're then gonna scoop right into the mixture.
Sticky tanzhong right into the mixture.
And now, after this, we're gonna slowly, bit by bit, crumble in about 3 tablespoons of cubed butter.
Let's do some butter math. So the whole block on the label says 16 tablespoons. So we'll divide it in half and then half again to figure out 1 strip is 4 tablespoons. And then we'll just divide it into 4 again and take 3 blocks and there will be exactly 3 tablespoons.
Once you finish kneading this for about 10 minutes.
Once the butter is in, I'm gonna start mixing the dough for 5 minutes. Take a water break. And then continue for another 5 minutes. Till it looks like this.
Remove your dough, then press it back to make sure it's nice and soft like this. Or smooth as a baby's bottom, as I like to say.
Why is he familiar with baby bottoms?
Now, I think you know the drill, but we're gonna cover it with a nice damp towel for about an hour and a half or so to let it rise a bunch.
Now we'll cover with the damp damp paper towel for an hour.
Now while we wait for that dough to rise, we're gonna make a really easy aioli here for our sandwich. Going with a bunch of mayonnaise.
Bunch of mayonnaise.
Just a little bit of lemon zest.
A little bit of lemon zest.
And just a few freeze-dried chives.
I don't even know what freeze-dried chives are, so I'm gonna go with a little bit of parsley. Mix well, and then we're done.
Our bread is risen. Take a look at that beautiful, thick dough.
Now the dough has risen and full of air, so we're gonna punch it down to make it more pliable.
Now, I'll come in with my bench scraper and divide this into equal pieces.
Now we'll take a bench scraper and divide it into sort of even pieces.
Begin pinching in the bottoms of the dough to make it nice and smooth on the top.
Start pinching in the bottom of the dough so the top gets stretched and smooth.
We're gonna place that pinched part right down and roll it around on our board until it's nice and smooth and tight.
Once it's flipped, you can roll it with one hand or pull it back with both hands, keeping constant contact with the work surface. Now we'll do this with all our buns till it forms the perfect shape.
Nice job, team.
Now that we've got all our beautiful buns laid out, let's cover this up again for about 15-20 minutes or so.
Now we'll space them out in the sheet tray that we're gonna bake them in, and then cover with damp paper towel for another 20 minutes.
Start in our bowl with the chicken and buttermilk. Once that's had plenty of time to brine, we're gonna add in a little bit of garlic powder, a little bit of onion powder, and a little bit of paprika.
I'm very confused to why he didn't add the seasoning in the beginning of the brining process, or just season the dredging flour itself.
Now we'll hop on over to our dredge. We're gonna go in with a half cup of all-purpose flour, as well as a full cup of either cornstarch or potato starch.
I'm gonna go with tapioca starch because I had so much left over from the boba video, and then a half a cup of flour.
At this point, our buns are finally just about ready to cook. And gently paint over the top of each of our buns.
Now I use my culinary paintbrush to egg wash all the buns. Preheated oven of 350 degrees Fahrenheit will go for 18 minutes.
All our bread is in the oven and we've begun to preheat our fryer. It's time to dredge our chicken.
Once my fryer is heating up, we can start dredging my chicken.
One at a time, we're gonna pull out those beautiful, well-seasoned pieces of chicken.
So we're gonna take a beautiful piece of chicken,
Drop them and press them down into that flour.
and drop into the flour.
Once your chicken looks something like that, it should be ready to go ahead and fry.
Once the chicken's all coated in the dredge, we'll put it on a piece of paper towel just like he did.
First, we slowly drop in that chicken at 325 Fahrenheit.
Once the oil's at temp, we'll drop in our chicken for 3 to 4 minutes.
We're gonna let this rest off to the side while we heat our oil up to 375 Fahrenheit.
Once it reaches 375, we'll drop it in for a double fry. This is a family-friendly channel, so we're gonna get rid of this exposed breast.
They should be beautifully golden brown, just like that.
And we'll take it out when it's golden brown like this. Doesn't look as crispy as his. I don't know why.
Place these down on my wire rack here and immediately hit them with some nice salt.
Started with 3 pieces and ended up with 2, but immediately we'll hit them with salt.
These are ready to go. Now that these shiny boys have come right out of the oven, we're just gonna let them sit and rest a little while.
They might be a little overdone. Should've went for 15 minutes. I love these brioche buns as they're soft, buttery, and fluffy. You can break it in half and eat it with some fig jam, or if you haven't had breakfast, you can sear some bacon, crack some eggs, toast some buns, and melt some cheese, and make a bacon, egg, and cheese.
This chicken right here is iconic. It's perfect. It's fat with a PH. You know what? I'm actually not gonna say anything else about it. Just watch and listen. I feel like this.
Wait a sec. Let's go back.
I'll just watch and listen.
I think what just happened was the initial strong scrape destroyed the chicken so much that it came with a doubtful second scrape, which still destroyed the chicken, and all that resulted in the final vertical slice in order to protect the dignity of the chicken. And unfortunately, the final chop completely separated the chicken from its coating, crumbling it into pieces. A rare Nick DiGiovanni fail. But anyways, at first glance at my chicken, they look like they're fried by 2 different people. Let's give it a sound check as well. Pretty good, so we'll taste the overcooked piece first. I mean, they don't look as crispy, but at least it's not falling apart.
You fucked up. I'm gently gonna slice through to cut this beautiful boy open. That right there is a gorgeous, amazing bun.
To begin the assembling process, we'll slice a bun down the middle.
We're gonna go down with some of that aioli here, spreading it generously around our bun to make sure that there's plenty to go around.
Since Nick is not toasting the buns, neither am I. We're just gonna sauce up both sides.
It is the perfect piece of fried chicken. We'll place that right gently down on our bun.
Now we'll place down our perfect piece of fried chicken.
But we'll place the pickles down on top.
To make the sandwich a little more healthy, we'll put some pickles on top.
We'll place the bun across the top, and there you have it. The perfect Popeyes classic crispy chicken sandwich.
And finally, here we have it. The classic Popeyes chicken sandwich. As we finally put it together, I have to say, this is looking pretty good. The color of the crust is a little lighter than Popeyes, but it's definitely got some height advantage. And you already know it's Instagram o'clock.
Give it to you. Fuck, wait for you to get it on your own.
Now, the rule number 1 for eating any sandwich is you have to give it a squeeze and then eat. Since you heard it, I'm not going to emphasize more on the crunch. We're going to look at the cross section real quick. Nice, it's looking pretty perfect. The chicken is deep fried to perfection, but the meat is lean enough so that it doesn't feel heavy. The mayo provides a lot of moisture, and the pickle adds that nice acidity that cuts through everything. All the ingredients and flavor are enclosed by this fluffy, soft, pillow-like brioche bun that just hugs everything. I give this sandwich a 9 out of 10. I still prefer to eat Popeyes because I prefer thighs over breast, because the breast is a little on the dry side. I'm sure Nick's recipe is perfectly moist and I somehow messed it up. But anyways, I'm gonna eat now. Alright, thank you.